what those are. Those dice there.
Ooh, neat. The case is cool too.
That case is cool. I like that.
No, was it? No, if I can. Fantasy Unlimited is what the company is.
Baby, don't fear the Reaper.
Well, you don't want to go there, do you?
The sun and the moon and the rain.
Okay. You had to start singing that, didn't you?
What did I do?
I don't know.
Singing.
Did I do something?
I don't know. We're about to find out, I think.
I know, right? This would be one time that... Oh, nice. Yeah. Blue Oyster Cult.
I do like Blue Oyster Cult. And by the way, Don't Want to Rain on His Parade, but I have the same ones. And they're actually, I got them online the other day.
Ooh.
They're these rainbow burnished ones. They're awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like these. I haven't used them yet in a game, though.
The only dice tray that I have came as a freebie with my Talisman board game. And my kid took it. I have no idea where it is, because anything he takes disappears.
These Die Hard dice.
Oh, nice. Die Hard. Love it.
Yep, Die Hard.
Ho, ho, ho. Now I have a machine gun. The best Christmas movie ever.
Oh, boy. All right, you fools. Welcome to the first Betrayal campaign. I'm Carlos A.S. Lysing, your DM. Down below, you'll see our players tonight. We got David Aho, Ariane Marquesas, and I have transposed 2 players. I have Matthew Lazinski over here as Brixton Beholder's Bane, and I have Magnus Miller-Wilson as John Paul Cordson, who I need to move back and forth because I'm a drop-down degenerate, and I put these guys in the wrong spot, so you'll forgive me just for a moment.
I rogued my way to a different spot. It's not your fault, man.
How's everybody doing?
Very good.
Good. Those of you guys who tune into our game, you're used to a lot of fluffy stuff. I do a lot of lore-based gaming. Tonight we're going to be doing a little bit more crunch. I do have a little bit of a fluff in mind, but as you guys know,
I'm going to hug him and squeeze him and stroke his fur backwards.
As you guys know, the players have gained a level, and they've been training lately. Well, we're going to show you guys what they've actually how they've actually been able to develop. So,
there we go.
What do we have here?
I was pulling up so I can actually look at the rest of the thing.
Oh, okay, good.
And I had to turn the volume down because all of a sudden I had stereo.
Okay.
So did we.
Stereo with a delay.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. It's Twitch has us at a little bit of a lag for actually what we do. So yeah, I'm familiar for sure.
Start calling you Max Headroom pretty soon.
I feel like Max Headroom right now, or actually, I'd be more like Min Headroom right now. For those of you guys who like to watch our show, thank you so much. Tomorrow, I'm planning on wrapping up the To the City of the Elder Gods game, which is our play test for our next module. Hopefully you guys get a chance to see it.
Tomorrow and not Monday?
I'm sorry?
You're doing it tomorrow, Sunday, not Monday.
It's tomorrow, not Monday, yeah.
Just good to note, because the last one was.
Yeah, it's tomorrow, and it's going to be really cool. I think the guys really received the feel and the vibe of the game well, and I'm really... so far, the game is playing out just pretty much exactly like I planned it, so that's really gratifying as a DM. But now we'll move over to games that are transpiring exactly the opposite as I planned out, which is the first Betrayal.
What a great intro.
When we last left our intrepid heroes, everyone was on the beach, and the group had gone through some of their training. Brixton and John Paul and had a bet for a wrestling match that happened between Tor, his mentor, and Brixton. It didn't go so well for Brixton, but that's okay. That's not his forte.
It went as well as it could have.
It did go about as well as it could have. It did go.
I think I did pretty good.
I thought you did pretty good too, considering all things considered.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ariane was a spectator to that. Saw how
nobody would take my bet though.
That's true. That's true. It's probably a good idea too.
Jumping in the DeLorean here, Brixton did about as well as Launchpad McQuack. Any crash you can walk away from is a win. It's a good flight.
I would agree. I would tend to agree. That was at least our motto in the Air Force. So, Brixton, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to begin our game today with you. All right.
Thanks.
All right. Last after our intrepid hero, Brixton Beholder's Bane, you were at the beach, as I said. After you guys had your recess for rest and relaxation there, the rest of your group split your different ways and went back to training. And I'm going to pick up with you during training, Brixton. You've been with the Chimera. You've been now, and I'm actually going to move a little bit forward in time a little bit to give you guys a little bit of to finish up the training portion of our game here. Brixton, it's now been about 2 weeks since you've been on the island. All right. In this time, you've spoken to the Chimera, and the Chimera, about a week ago, she told you that the time has come, now that you guys have discussed strategy and you've discussed matters of how you think it's best to approach illusion, in which she's told you, and I think it's been reinforced in the last couple game sessions, that she feels it's best that you obfuscate your identity as much as possible. You obfuscate your location. She really believes that playing with reality in that fashion is the best policy for you. And in that time, she's been teaching you fundamentals of spells. She's been teaching you how to gather different spell components, how to use them, how to employ them to get different effects, what their consequences are. So you're going to, when you're out in the wild and you're using your different skills, you will be able to use that knowledge about certain materials that relate to illusion.
Cool.
She's also recommended certain spells to you.
Uh-oh.
Now, she tells you that there's a lot of, and I'll actually role-play out a bit the way that she laid this out for you. Brixton, certainly you've seen, over the time you've spent with me, and with the gnomes, the deep gnomes, and even with your master before then, you've seen many different kinds of spells used. Certainly you know what's available, what is doable and what is not for someone of your experience. You only have a certain amount of spells that you can carry in your spell book, that you can memorize for your repertoire. I would recommend the following spells for you. We discussed Alter Self. I believe that to be a must. There's also a spell called Blur that you might be familiar with. Blur has the ability to mute and change your perspective and dimension with regard to a viewer. Makes it much more difficult for you to be attacked successfully. In that same vein, I would recommend a spell called Fog Cloud, by which you could bring into being a dense cloud of fog. It's excellent for, would be an excellent spell for you to begin a combat with, blinding or distracting your enemies and allowing you to use your other spells to slip away unimpeded. I would also recommend Hypnotic Pattern. You may remember the prism that I showed you how to make with quartz earlier, or glass. Using it and moving it in distinct patterns has the ability to transfix your enemies, holding them still before you. I would also recommend Improved Phantasmal Force, by which you can create powerful illusions. Phantasmal Force is the core of an illusionist's repertoire. But, as I go forward, you'll understand why perhaps that may not be your best choice. Invisibility speaks for itself. It's a spell I think that you would do well with. Although, for someone like yourself who's capable of hiding in shadows, perhaps that won't be first on your wish list, so to speak. Mirror Image has the ability to make several different versions of you appear side by side, making your enemies choose between the ones that they'll strike and which ones they will eschew. Now, my particular investigation of your past and what you've done implies to me that communication is not necessarily the strong suit of your group. Sometimes it seems to me that you needed to speak to others in your group and you haven't been able to. Therefore, I would recommend Whispering Wind as an excellent choice, by which you can cast your voice upon the wind and let it be received by someone else up to miles away. The following spells will be the most powerful that you could possibly bring into bear. And I have 4 choices that I think would be excellent for you. The first would be Phantom Steed. Now, at first, you might think to yourself that, why would I need a steed? I already have one in Aurora. But the truth is that Phantom Steed, even though at your low level, it will be... it's something that can scale as you grow more powerful. Soon your Phantom Steed will be able to move swift as the wind, over water, over air, over land. It will allow you to traverse terrain that you would otherwise be blocked by. Phantom Steed is an excellent and very underrated spell. Rope Trick is also an underrated spell. It allows you the ability to escape into a transdimensional space, taking some of your friends with you, perhaps. The main spell I would recommend, above all others for you, is Spectral Force, however. Spectral Force is an illusionary spell, but Spectral Force has the ability to also bring into bear sound, temperature, scent. All the senses can be deluded or fooled by Spectral Force. That is the true measure of an illusionist's skill. The final spell I would recommend that you consider would be Wraith Form. Wraith Form will have the ability to change you into a living shadow, slipping under doors, through cracks, through the air. But a very underrated portion of Wraith Form is that the undead can be fooled by a Wraith Form spell. They will think you to be one of them. They won't attack you necessarily. Some of the more intelligent ones may see through it, but as for the weaker ones, it's an excellent way to avoid their notice. Now, Brixton, based on your spellbook and your ability, which of these would you be most interested in learning?
That's a very good question. I think I will take whatever the Chimera recommends and make good use of it.
She smiles. Excellent choices. Matthew, I would like you to roll me a percentage dice, please.
29.
You have learned Alter Self. You can.
We did that one last time.
In your yes, but you actually can scribe that in your spell book now.
Oh, okay.
It's part of your permanent repertoire now.
Okay, because you had me roll percentile on it last week.
Oh, I did? Okay, well in that case, we'll move that to Blur. That is now also in your spell book.
Cool.
Another percentage dice, please, for Fog Cloud.
30.
303?
Yeah, 30.
Okay. Fog Cloud is now in your repertoire.
It's that Canadian accent.
Right.
Percentage dice again.
85.
You have failed to learn Hypnotic Pattern.
Oh, man.
Hypnotic Pattern is now lost to you.
Keep going.
Improve Phantasmal Force. Please roll.
6.
You have improved Phantasmal Force. Another percentage dice, please.
40.
Invisibility is now yours. Again.
74.
Oh boy, you just barely got mirror image. Okay. Finally, Whispering Wind.
15.
You have Whispering Wind. You now have a maximum possible of 6 more spells that you can learn for that second level.
Okay.
Please roll me a percentage dice.
40.
She's taught you a spell. Actually, roll me another one, please.
Keep it on the table.
Yeah, please keep it on.
Right? 36.
You have learned Wraith Form, and pursuant to Wraith Form, she's taught you an ability, another spell called Paralyzation, that she's taught you in conjunction with it too, because so many undead paralyze their victims. She's taught you that using Paralyzation in conjunction with Wraith Form is often another good way to mask your true nature. So Wraith Form and Paralyzation are now yours. Another percentage dice.
54.
You have Phantom Steed. Again.
9.
Rope Trick is yours. And the most important one, don't screw this up, Brixton.
48.
Spectral Force is yours.
You know what? As far as rolling goals, that was pretty good.
That was really good. You only
was.
failed on one of them, which is honestly statistically about accurate based on what I saw there. So, good job. That unfortunately you'll never be able to learn Hypnotic Pattern, but
That's what you think.
all right. Go ahead and keep telling the DM that.
I will.
Okay, so you can go ahead and copy those to your spell book.
It won't
yes.
be him learning it. It'll be his mirror image.
It'll be his mirror image, right? Or his Wraith Form.
My Wraith Form, yeah.
Brixton, one other thing. Your group has apparently offline. You guys have decided about magic items, yes?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay. What have you taken?
The dice,
Okay.
but I don't touch them.
Okay.
They're in a cup. I think the Daggers of Assassination. I have the list. 1 second.
Okay, go ahead. Right now, you and me, Magnus, are the only ones on the screen.
Yep. It's all that we need to be.
Yeah, really, it's all YouTube.
No.
No. Because this is going to help me inform what happens with Magnus as well.
And the ladies are here for you, Matthew.
They're not here for me, that's for sure.
Me neither.
That's what you think.
I'm just the comedic relief.
They always like the ones that make them laugh. Brixton, what do you got? He's scratching his head. That's not a good sign. Would you like a moment?
I was looking at the bracers of scale defense.
Okay. And what else?
I wanted the property of Rook's Nest.
Okay, Rook Roost.
That's the one.
Yep.
And I thought the Cloak of the Bat would be cool for not being known all the time.
Okay. Anything
But
else?
I want to slight that necklace, the I use necklace.
What do you want to do with it?
I want to take it
Okay.
inconspicuously.
Okay. Please roll me a percentage die.
40.
Okay. All right. Well, it's in your possession. Whether or not anybody saw you take it or not, it's hard to tell.
Is another thing, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. Is that it? Everything else is fair game, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, you now have those spells added to your repertoire. The Chimera has taken the last couple weeks in order to teach you those spells. Yeah.
Can I also ask her about my feather?
Of course you can. Let's do that right now.
Okay.
Okay. Why don't you tell me how you would go about asking her?
I probably just abruptly stopped her in the meantime of saying something important.
Okay, well, she was in the middle then of teaching you Spectral Force.
Nice. Well
I
played.
say, yeah, all that aside, I have a question for you, Chimera.
She's got in her hand a bit of the colored dust that she's taught you how to mix. She's got the prism in her hand. She looks over at you, and she says, "Yes."
I was given this feather, and I was curious as to what it does. It was given to me by somebody very special.
Don't you think this is an odd time to ask me such a question?
Keeps you on your toes.
She smirks a bit, looks at the feather, walks over, touches her fingers across it, strokes the purple quality of it. She looks down at you, kind of gets down on one knee as she does. She says, "The feather in your hat is a multifunction magic item," she says.
Sorry, we got a lot of mosquitoes. State bird.
She says, "It's a multifunction magic item. Long ago, there was a man, a ranger, very powerful, who lived in the gnarly forest not far from the free city of Greyhawk. His name was Qual," she says,
Gnarly.
running her finger across it. Qual is very famous to those who know the names of the heroes of the free city, indeed of our Earth in general. She touches the feather again. You see, Qual was a compatriot of a man named Zagig. Zagig is very possibly the most powerful wizard ever to stride our planet. In fact, so great was his power that he is now like unto a god, in the service of Bakab, the god of magic. When he was living, Zagig had a group of adventurers that accompanied him. Their names: notorious, famous, hallowed, cursed around our planet. Kiaton, Merlin. She smiles a bit. Heward, Tasha. Then she looks down and she says, touches it one more time. Nolzer and Qual. She touches the feather again. Qual,
Like Tasha's hideous laughter, Tasha.
Indeed, she nods. However, many believe Tasha to actually have been an alias used by the Witch Queen of Perenland, Igwaliv, who is one of the most infamous villains in the history of our world. A known demon summoner, a known binder, a fiend of which there is very little compare. But at any rate, we speak of Qual. Qual had an affinity with birds, you see. Swans, eagles, even the smallest finch, they were all friends of Qual. And so it was not unlike him to enchant feathers, to use that could achieve various magical effects. These have been known throughout our world's history as Qual's feather tokens. Each of them have different abilities. This is one such feather token. Have you yet jumped from any height since you've worn your hat?
I can't say that I mean, in the water.
She looks at me and she says, "Do you trust me, my student?"
No, but I'll do what you say.
She grins a bit. That is the proper answer. Come to the window with me.
Somebody's learning.
She comes to the window.
She wants the feather for herself.
She looks at you. She says, "Jump from the window, please." You look down. It's about 40 feet down to the ground. Rocks.
I'm gonna like turn around and then just kind of do like a salute as I fall backwards.
And
nice.
you do the salute, you fall backwards, and as you jump out the window, you start to fall. All of a sudden, you slow down. In the air, your body just kind of slowly levitates down to the ground.
That was so Brixton.
You land with the weight of a feather on the rocks below.
I mean, I should have pieced that together, but I for sure didn't.
She looks out the window and she says, "I'll have the butler let you in. Come to me come to me as soon as you can." She says, "It seems it works as I thought it did." Yelling down the window.
And she knew. She just playing with me.
The door opens and the butler looks out at you. Looks over at you. "Master Brixton, how did you get out here?"
Your master has taught me many different tricks.
Good. It's good to see that you're learning well. Please come in.
Thank you.
The butler has gained kind of an affinity for the three of you guys at this point. So you all know him pretty well. He doesn't really talk about much. He just kind of he's very professional. And as you go back upstairs to the mistress's training area, she looks at you and she says, "That would be a feather falling, you see."
Now, you said it was multi-use.
Indeed. She pulls the feather out of your hat for a second, shows you the bottom of it, right at the pinion. The pinion, she shows you, is extremely sharp. Can you see that?
Yeah. Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were to touch this to your bowstring, it would split all the way down all the feathers of it into a cluster of arrows. When you shoot them, all of them would be magical. It is a very potent offensive weapon as well as a defensive weapon. However, I believe that it can only be used once as a weapon.
Okay, so if I turn it into feathers, or if I turn it into arrows, then I don't feather fall.
Correct. And you would probably be non-magical thereafter. So use it only as a last resort. Have you any other questions before you interrupt your studies again?
No, I was just wondering what we were doing with the prism and the powder and.
She smiles as she says, "Even though you've interrupted one lesson, you've learned at least 5. You've demonstrated that in our mere interaction. So, all is not lost. And you've learned much."
In our mere image?
Rub the side of your face. You've learned much.
Thank you.
Excellent.
You're a good teacher.
Let us begin again. And she begins to teach you again. Brixton, one thing you've learned about the Chimera, she never appears twice the same way. She's always different. Sometimes in the middle of your lesson, she'll be somebody different all the time. Like, sometimes she'll be this half-orc warrior, male half-orc warrior, teaching you about alter self, and the next moment she's a halfling farmer lass that's just teaching you about how to go about stealing things. That's really hot. Her ability to change her shape and form is amazing. To the point where you actually have started to wonder if she's actually human. Yeah, what she really is. You're not sure that she does it with spellcraft when she changes her body. She may actually change it with like a native ability. And it has made you worry a little bit because the things that can do that are generally not good in nature. Things like demons and devils, things like doppelgangers. Yeah. These creatures all are predatory on the good folk of the world. So it's one of those things that when you got a chance to speak with her through the last 2 weeks, she's given you a little bit of pause about what she might really be. Mm-hmm. Okay. Sweet. Oh, that's awesome. That's good to hear, Marianne. We're going to move over to John Paul right now. Hey, Greyhawk Mike, it's awesome. Good to see you, brother. John Paul, You've been training with Tor over the last couple weeks.
The fur is back.
The fur is back. John Paul, the things that you have learned from Tor are multifunction as well. Not only have you become a little bit more, a better fighter just by practicing with him, a little bit stronger, a little bit hardier. He's also teaching you specific techniques as far as a fighter goes. All right. Now, he tells you at some point during your training, one thing that I find very singular to you, my friend, is that you don't fight dirty at all. You always seem to fight clean.
I do, yes.
This is good. I'm going to teach you a couple tricks, my friend.
Tricks, but not cheating.
No.
Okay,
To
good.
the contrary, I'm
Very
going to
different.
teach you-
I'm okay with tricks, cheating.
I'm going to teach you how to deal best with dirty fighters.
Oh, yes. That is what I want.
I am going to fight to you very unconventionally, very dirty.
Like Brixton.
Like Brixton. Just
Yes. He is very dirty.
he is very dirty fighter.
He's a
yes.
dirty little shit gnome.
But he's got a dirty mind too. You
He
can see the
does.
way he looks at these women.
Yes, and the children.
And the children too. Ooh.
Yes.
We don't like to talk about that.
No, they're his size.
No, I know. Well, to him it might not be so bad, but to
Not
us,
right.
it's horrible.
It's not right.
No, not good. Anyway, so you are going to get a proficiency in tactics as far as dealing with dirty fighters. You're also going to gain a little bit of a perception bonus against people who are cheating.
Awesome.
These are going to be insight skills for you going forward as secondary skills.
You are not using those dice on me, bitch.
But from one day, you and Tor are on the beach, which is where you guys do all your training, and you feel like you're way stronger than before, way more agile. And there's a boat that comes out of the fog around the island. And by the way, as the weather is beginning to turn a little bit more towards autumn, it's starting to get worse and worse by the day out here. The waves are more choppy. They crash into the shore. The snowfall is more frequent. It's more sleety than snow right now. It's bitterly cold outside. So you're gaining a lot of toughness, gaining a lot of ability to fight in that kind of a climb. But there's a man who comes forward out of the fog. He's got a boat, and it's more like a skiff than a boat, really. He pulls it through the water, kind of moors up against the beach, and Tor kind of nods at you, looks at the thing. He says, why don't you go ahead and take a break for a moment and see what this one wants?
Oh, okay.
I want to see if he attacks you, I want to see how much you've learned.
Okay. More importantly, should I bring a pony cake back when I come?
He looks at you, he goes, I would be disappointed if you didn't.
Nah, just checking. All right. I will be back in a few.
Okay. So you go over to this man with the skiff, and he looks over at you, looks you up and down. The man is, he's not big, but he's built more like a fire plug. He's probably about maybe 5'10". He's probably about 230. Looks very strong. On his hip, he's got a bastard sword. He is wearing armor of an unknown type underneath, kind of loose clothing. It's hard to really tell what he's got on. There's a big box in the middle of the skiff that looks like a coffin. He looks over.
Greetings! Welcome to this island that is not mine.
This isn't yours, huh?
No, but I am the welcoming committee, and I am here to make sure that you are not a cheater, or I would thrash you. But if you are not the cheater, you are welcome. I was about to get some beer.
He nods. You are not Ariane Marquesas, are you? You don't look like Ariane Marquesas.
Then I am not. Good one. You passed the first test.
He chuckles under his breath a bit. This will be interesting, I can tell. He leans over and he
Is it that's why we are still alive? Really?
He knocks on the side of the box.
Yes. Who's dead?
He slides open the top of the box.
I go take a look.
Out of the box sits up a woman. She's probably about maybe 30 years old, you figure. She's got long, flowing, blood red hair. She's wearing robes. Has a long, slender sword at her side. She looks up at this the boatman. She's absolutely ravishing. Has a holy symbol on of a silver unicorn. Mistress, we're here, he says. This is my mistress, he says. He goes, Soraya. Soraya looks up, kind of blinks a couple times, looks at you through green eyes. She looks like she may have been asleep for a very, very long time. Kind of smiles gently. You're one of Ariane's friends, yes?
John Paul bows so deeply he almost falls forward.
You can hear on the back on the beach, you can hear Tor laughing a little bit under his breath.
And then when he straightens up quickly, he's like, I'm sorry, I forgot your name again. You are the fucking hottest thing I've ever seen. There's a Sora.
She smiles a bit.
Sora hot.
She goes, I am Soria, yes. She says a bit.
Soraya of the box.
Kind of puts his,
that is a
taps
nice
her shoulder.
box.
She goes, she smiles and says, she's in your shadow, actually. She's probably about maybe 5'8" or so. She's not tiny, but in your saying next to you, she looks like almost a child. She says, "You're quite handsome as well.
Well,
you must be John.
He turns bright red.
You must be John Paul, yes?
I am. Yes, no pause on that one.
Ah, good. I'm looking for Ariane Marquesas.
I will take you right to him, but I got to let you know I'm hotter.
She looks at you. She says, if that's true, she says, then we'll be seeing one another again, I'm sure.
I don't know what to say about that except awesome.
She looks over at Marius. She says to him, Marius, please bring our goods aboard.
I will help too because, I'm smitten.
Okay.
Here, hand me some. I will bring the box.
Marius looks at you kind of like, he looks a little bit maybe like, I don't know if you can lift this box, but all right. But you end up lifting it up, no problem. And you can see he's mildly impressed.
Hey, you look tired. You want the other shoulder?
Someone's trying to be cool, but you can tell he's impressed.
Right. I got another shoulder if you need a ride.
No, that's all right.
Okay.
The mistress looks over at you and she says, how long have you been here on the island?
Couple of weeks.
Then I'm late. My apologies.
No, you are never late.
She goes,
you are just on time.
I've come from a long way, you see.
I can tell.
You walk over to the door of the island. She walks over and knocks on the door. Moment later, the butler opens.
Do you need me to bring the boat too?
No, that's all right.
Okay.
She laughs a bit. The door opens. The butler is there. Ah, Mr. Sire. Nods. Butler, she says, I'm here to see the Chimera. He nods. Well, please, follow me. He leads you and Magnus to leads the two of you upstairs to the area in which Brixton trains. Now, you've only seen it a couple times, but every time you go through the door into this area, it looks totally different. The Chimera's magical abilities are quite incredible.
The whole way, I'm like giving her the nickel tour, but making things up because I have no idea what anything is, right? But I'm just like trying to just be the most gracious host of a place that isn't mine that has ever existed.
You can tell she's very, very... she's amused by it. She never contradicts anything you say. Even when it's clear she knows what it is.
Right.
She looks, oh, that's interesting. She'll ask you some questions about it and just totally play off that she knows anything about it.
Awesome. I get like totally wild and outlandish. Serious.
The door gets opened up, and when you open up the door, you open it up, and there's nothing but stars and night sky everywhere inside of this room. The floor is missing. It goes all the way, it seems to drop off into infinity, into nothingness. All you see is this long path of squares that lead up to the central square on which Brixton and the Chimera are practicing. You've also known that the Chimera looks different every time you see her. Today and right now, when you introduce her, she is a 3'8" goblin with skin that's kind of got kind of a purplish color, and she's got tattoos all over her that are actually paisley in color. She's teaching Brixton a spell in which their bright flashing colors seem to be springing forth from his hands. As soon as the door opens up, Brixton, you and the Chimera stop. And she looks down, looks over at you. Brixton, why don't you greet our guests?
Something happened to his voice!
Welcome.
She looks over at you. She says, you don't sound too disappointed. Soraya says.
This is, my name's Brixton, and this is the Chimera. That's John Paul.
Are you sure that's the Chimera? She says, looking at her and kind of smirking a little bit.
Are we ever sure?
I've never been. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Beholder's Bay. I've heard a lot about you. I am Soraya.
I've heard nothing about you.
I've come from a long way.
Wait. You said it's a pleasure to meet him, and you know who he is.
She says, I do.
Yeah,
she looks over at
John Paul.
She stops halfway through your conversation abruptly, and she looks at you, and she seems very preoccupied for a moment. She touches your cloak. She goes, "That's a very nice cloak." She looks at you and kind of smiles a bit. You're becoming a little bit like the Chimera yourself. I suppose you're her student, yes?
For the time being.
She continues starts walking past you up the stone path to get over to the Chimera. Chimera, it's a pleasure to see you again. The pleasure's mine, Soraya. She goes, you look well. The two of them just kind of nod at each other. You notice both of you. I want you to make me both a 20.
9.
Brixton? I should say Jean Paul?
6.
Both of you notice that the Chimera goes way out of her way not to touch her. Oh, thanks so much. Let's see who got us just now. Oh, thanks, Anonymous. We really appreciate it. That was awesome of you. She says she goes way out of her way never to touch her. Like when they bow to each other or when they greet each other, nothing ever is physical contact.
That's really disappointing.
You also notice that she doesn't seem to want to look her in the eye at all. There's something discomforting about looking her in the eye. You're here for Ariana, I presume. Or is it for something more pressing? Oh, no. I received your message. It just took me some time. Hey, thanks, Whaley Hobbit. We really appreciate the host. That's awesome of you. Oh no, I'm here to teach area. I just it's taken me some time to get here. As you know, I came from quite some distance. Yes, and I assume that your travel was as good as it could be. Soraya says. Very well then.
She came in this box.
She looks over at you, at what the Chimera does, and looks over at Soraya. And when she does, she looks up. She's now a man that's about 6'7" tall. When you look down for a second to follow her eyes, you look back. She's now a 6'7", bald man, long black robes, sigil of Ayus around her neck. She looks over and says, "You're very brave, then, I see." She looks over at her and says, "I didn't see the need for subterfuge. Everyone knows.
I don't know.
You know how I feel about the truth. Yes, a convenience. I know. Brixton, please, you and John Paul, if you would take our guest over to meet Arion. I believe he's downstairs with the serpent."
I think that's next to the Black Dragon painting.
Oh, is that where you were telling me about the black dragon and all those rabbits?
Yes.
Oh, very good.
Right.
Please,
the killer rabbits with the huge pointy teeth.
Lead on.
Yes.
One day you'll have to tell me about all these killer rabbits, my friend. She looks over at the Chimera. Oh, yes, that was some adventure. She looks over at John Paul and kind of smiles.
You have to be there.
Brixton, are you going to take her downstairs? With
yeah,
John
I
Paul?
will. Because I was asked to. I will.
Hey, thanks for
where she
we
goes.
really appreciate the stream.
Can I put my hat on her head and kick her out a window?
If you'd like to. You want to try?
No. I take that back.
Okay. Brixton, you and John Paul begin leading your guest Soraya downstairs. And Soraya, she seems very quiet, very pensive a person. She's wearing that holy symbol of the silver holy symbol. Brixton, you are experienced enough by now at learning about different materials and things at the hands of the Chimera. It's actually not silver, it's mithril.
Oh.
It's true silver.
I'm getting smart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to reflect that in your camp going forward, that you've learned so much with her. Some of the things that were invisible to you before will become a little more apparent.
Cool.
John Paul, you can tell after training so much with Tor that she is not in a fighting kind of... There's no sense at all that she wants to fight, or no posture at all. But yet there's something about the way she moves.
She's a predator.
Yes, she is a predator for sure. The way that she moves, the way that she looks at everything. Hey, Lexfire, thanks so much. And Lexfire being our follower just now, anyone who's looking at the bottom of the screen, you'll notice we just met our August follower goal. So thanks so much, Lexfire. I really appreciate it, bud. So that's so awesome. She's definitely a predator. She moves with this kind of a cat-like grace, an absolute silence that's kind of eerie. It doesn't seem like the wind is even disturbed around her when she moves. Going downstairs, you go to the library. Oh, thanks, Wiley Hobbit. We really appreciate it. Man, the Birch Valkyrie's birds are getting a workout today. That's awesome. You go downstairs to the library area. And Arion, today you've been studying geography with the serpent. The serpent's teaching techniques are as follows. What he will do is he teaches you the most basic stuff ever. It seems really dry and boring, but he has this weird knack for bringing it around suddenly and unexpectedly to a place that where you find out, oh my god, I just learned something really valuable and I didn't even realize it. For example, he'll be telling you all about the Aberrals, the mountain range. And he'll be talking about the swamps at the base of it, and he'll be talking about the mud and his adventures there, and then the next thing you know, you realize you've just learned something about tracking. And you've learned something about how to expect the depth of tread to be for humans, and gnomes, and lizard men, and weird things like that. That's his tactics. So right now you guys are poring over a map right now of Radek, and he's telling you a little bit about the coast of Radek and the beaches. As he does that, Brixton and John Paul are coming downstairs. And you know this now, because even though, well before they come downstairs, because another thing that the Serpent has taught you is how to be a little bit more in touch with some of your elvish senses.
Okay, just call me Paul Atreides then.
Yeah, he tells you that through your training, a lot of the things that you've done so far, he goes, you rely a lot on what you know. I've noticed when we hunt, I notice when we go and we do our training that you're very meticulous. But one of the things I don't think you rely enough on is your ability to sense the area around you. You're an elf. You are really, really in touch with nature. You're in touch with your surroundings. And that's something that you need to use to your advantage more. And one of the things that he... So when Brixton and John Paul come downstairs, you're very aware of them coming downstairs well before they're heading down there. But one thing that surprises you... one of the things that surprises you, I just read the Cascavellian's comments, is they're with somebody. And that was unexpected. Arion, the person that they're with is this willowy red-headed woman that you do not sense at all.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
That is the thing.
I didn't hear anything or anything like that.
You didn't hear anything. You didn't see anything. And actually, the Serpent, his senses are so sharp. He's a human that they're probably better than yours. He is aware of everything. You've never seen him surprised before. But when he sees her, he doesn't...
So I didn't even notice any kind of like specific maybe tells from the other two as they're coming down there.
No,
like,
not really.
You know, some people can... You can generally tell somebody's...
Well, one thing about Brixton that you notice is that as he's been learning from the Chimera, you can tell he's getting better and better because he doesn't have tells that much anymore. He's going to be a great poker player down the road, and it's one of those things that where you have realized that the dice that he got through the magic item dissemination are going to be really valuable in his hand because he's going to be an amazing gambler. You're pretty sure. Arion,
yep.
They come downstairs first, Brixton and John Paul, and they've got this person behind them. She's this about 5'8", maybe. She's got red hair. It's long, kind of looks like a waterfall of blood running down her back. That's just all curls and deep crimson color. Kind of palish skin. She's wearing these robes underneath it, are clothing underneath. It's clearly some kind of armor. She's got a long sword at her side. She's wearing the holy symbol of Alona at her neck.
I bow my head and nod.
The Serpent looks over. He goes, Soraya. It didn't even... She smiles. When have you ever? She kind of just smiles a bit. Thank you very much. She nods over at Brixton and John Paul. I appreciate your guidance. And John Paul, later, perhaps you can show me more of the tower.
Yes.
She said that would.
Oh, he'll show you his tower.
Do I notice the infatuation there?
You can see it right away, but you could see also that Soraya seems a little bit bemused by it more than serious. More like she's playing along.
I quirk a little grin or whatever and just
Brixton, you notice right away that the serpent, he doesn't make eye contact with her either. He doesn't touch her when he greets her, much like anyone else. And he has his hand on his dagger.
Do I notice this?
Make me a... Yeah, actually, you do notice it. Never mind. You would notice it. He's got his hand on his dagger. John Paul, you do not notice this, however, being as smitten as you are. But the serpent looks over at the three of you and goes, "This is one of my old adventuring companions. This is Soraya. Soraya, it's good to see you again." She says, "Likewise. This is your star pupil, I assume."
Question for you. Do I remember any kind of like in the earlier introductions from when we first got on the island that he was a adventuring companion of the Chimera as well?
They were all old friends that were once part of an adventuring company together.
Serpent, I must ask you a question.
But yeah, go ahead. Before you go, John Paul, I want to say this. You are the impression that 90% of their adventuring crew is dead. Go ahead, John Paul.
Is she dead?
He looks over at you, looks over at her. She says, "Not quite."
That's what I thought. She came in the box. I mean, really, who comes in a box?
She looks over at you.
Does that strike me as really strange?
She says to the rest of you, she says, "My friend, if you want to tell the tale, you're welcome."
I want to hear the tale.
"Are you sure?" The serpent
Hell
says.
yeah, I'm sure.
No, he's saying it to Soraya. She says, "Everyone should know." Okay.
What type of reaction am I get or like realization I'm getting from this bit of an exchange between the three of them?
He seems really uneasy. The serpent does, but she seems very calm.
But when he said something about, is she dead? And she's like, well, sort of. Does that? And I'm watching her with with the symbol of Alona on her. Does that strike me as really odd?
It does strike me as super duper odd. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to be a little bit on
Thanks,
like
Irish
higher alert than normal.
I absolutely love our Ravens. Thanks so much, and kudos again to Amanda Roof for making those our merch Valkyrie. But anyway, Ariane, Soraya is addressing mostly you when she speaks. But when the serpent speaks, he's addressing all of you, and he says the following: "All you know that me and the Chimera, we used to be adventuring companions. We were part of a group called the Brotherhood of the Brass Boulet. Called ourselves that because we were all friends that kind of bonded over an adventure in which we defeated a Boulet and saved a small halfling village over in the middle of the Flonesse, not too far from Verbabank." You know, it nods at you, Ariane, because you guys have gone over geography a lot. So, well, together we all found out that we were a pretty good team. We're led by a paladin of Heronius. There was me, Chimera, Soraya. Soraya, he nods over at her pendant. She's a priestess of Alona, nature priestess. Pretty powerful. Great healer. Good friend. He nods. One day, something very unfortunate happened to all of us. You see, we were traveling. We were called forth to a place called the Ghost Tower of Inverness. It's a tower that appears and disappears on the coasts of the Bright Desert. Irish, I know the feeling, Irish Dad out there. I just want to let you know, hey, the opportunity's always there to game. You know what? One day, hopefully, maybe you can even game with us. That would be awesome. So I'm glad that you could get back into it, and I'm glad that you could still watch us game tonight. Hopefully, it gets the fires burning again. You find yourself a group soon. But anyway, he goes, well, it was dawn, and I was at the point, like I usually was, stalking out into the woods. Me and my animal companion. Name was Felis back then. You remember Felis? He kind of smiles at her. I remember. Well, anyway, she smelled something on the horizon. I could tell that there was something wasn't right. There were mists all around us. Fog came up out of nowhere. Surrounded us. I knew that we were in trouble, so I threw up our hand signal. I knew that everybody behind us would be ready, but there was nothing to be ready for. A minute later, we were at the edge of the bright desert. The next thing I knew, we were in these boreal mountains. The smell was all off. We were someplace different, and I knew it wasn't an illusion. That's how we all ended up in a place called Ravenloft.
Ooh.
He says, and looks over at the rest of you.
Okay.
It's a place...
Birds.
I don't like to talk about this much, but since Soraya's going to make me, bad things happen in Ravenloft. The guy in charge of this place lives in a castle. His name is Strad von Berevich.
What a crazy name!
Yeah, well, you don't know the half of it, my friend. Strad's a vampire. He rules over this long, winding area of mountainous terrain in which the people that live there, they live in mortal terror of him. They're nothing but cattle to Strad. He's a monster. Well, we went into the castle, and we were there, and we were going to put the stake to him. Arion, this is why I always tell you to carry these. He pulls out a wooden stake. Puts it in his back. Anyway, things didn't go so good for us. Strad's powerful, crazy powerful. One by one, all of us fell. First, our paladin went. Then, beside our thief. Next, our mage. Pretty soon it was me, the Chimera, and Soraya. A part of me couldn't figure out why he wasn't targeting Soraya. I couldn't figure it out. I mean, she's our priestess. His undead would come, and she'd banish him, destroy him, dismiss him. Slowly, it started to dawn on me. He could see us through the entire castle. He was scrying on us, following our every move, toying with us. And eventually, it dawned on me that it was because he wanted her for himself. I don't have to tell any of you that Soraya is a beautiful woman. And Strad, the monster that he is, gets off just as much on killing people and drinking their blood. He wants to corrupt them, body and soul and mind. We eventually found Strad. We also saw a way out. A portal. Get out of Ravenloft. Well, we fought Strad. Chimera got knocked down. I got knocked down. Soraya was the only one left. Soraya begged us to leave. Go through the portal and she would hold him off. Well, I wasn't about to stand for that. So I got up. And that's right about when you put those 3 arrows through me, wasn't it, Soraya? Right through the back. She nods. You know why I did it. Yeah, I know why you did it. But never sat right with me. You know that too. I understand. I did what I had to do. You were my friends. I loved all of you. I wouldn't leave you to the mercies of something like Strad. Well, yeah. We went through the portal. Chimera drugged me through there. Everything she could. I weighed a ton back then. I was wearing armor. I wasn't nearly the ranger I was back then. Stupid. Just a kid. Just a kid with a good eye. Just level bow. She died so that we could all live. I don't know how the hell you got out of there. And I know what you are now. She nods. I paid a very, very dear price for your life. Right. You see, Soraya's in a really unusual place. He looks over at her. She's a nature priestess, but you're really not part of nature anymore, are you, Soraya? No. And yet your goddess still grants you spells, isn't that weird? Yes. So I guess if Alona trusts you, I should too. I just can't shake whatever happened to you back there. I don't blame you that you don't trust me. I'm different now. Yeah, well, I just wonder how much of a hold Strahd still has on you. I can only prove myself over time, my friend. This does not burn my flesh, does it? She touches the holy symbol. No, I guess it doesn't.
That's a really good point.
He holds up a mirror, a hand mirror, and points at her and lets you all see that the fact that she shows no reflection in it. And says, and so is this, though. Puts it back into his pocket. Arion, this is why I always tell you about garlic and wolfsbane. This is why I always tell you about wooden stakes and holy symbols. This is why I've taught you all these things. Is because I learned a long time ago that even though you and I are in touch with nature by being rangers, sometimes it's what's outside of nature you have to fear most. But I guess you're here to teach Arion about being a proper priest, right? So I should get going. No, I want you to stay. I want you to stay. After all, you don't trust me, and I don't blame you. You should be here to keep me in line in case something should happen. I think that's fair.
Also, I got the beer.
She looks over. I don't think Soraya drinks anymore. At least
No, I don't think she drinks wine.
Well, no. My blood is for her. Not the beer is for you, serpent.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to need plenty of that. You and me.
I got plenty of both.
You and me will go, you and me will have some of that later. Brixton, John Paul, thanks for bringing her down here. Now you know the story. You sure you wanted me to tell that, Soraya? I told you. He shrugs a bit. They should know. It's best that you don't look me in the eye, and you certainly shouldn't touch my flesh.
Son of a bitch!
I'm sorry to break your heart, Jean Paul, she says and nods. She
It's not the first time today. I do appreciate it.
Because you are a handsome man, but
thank you.
I am no longer a creature of the type that...
After she says that, I'll ask her. It's like, and I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce her name. Soraya. S-O-R-A-Y-A. Okay, got it. Says, may I ask why people shouldn't look you in the eye or touch your flesh?
My gaze.
I'm just I know
direct contact of my gaze has a tendency to put people under my sway. It transfixes them.
All right.
Anything living, she says. I'm a predator now. And just as the field mouse freezes in the stare of an eagle descending, so too you would freeze. All right. Nature knows, even when I am a friend to you, nature understands that I am not a friend to anyone.
That was really sad. So you can't have love or friendship?
No longer. She shakes her head. I will forever
That
be
is
an
the
outsider.
ultimate curse, this blood drinking thing. Throw that out the window. But being so fucking hot and not being able to have companionship must be like the worst thing in the world.
Well, I point out, it's like she doesn't necessarily have to not have companionship.
John Paul, roll me a 20.
Okay. Coming right up. 2.
When you say that, you notice a wince. You notice the serpent winces slightly, and then you understand what their relationship was when they were.
Gotcha. I quickly turn to him out of the corner of my eye, and then then I just shut up.
It's okay. It was a long time ago.
And when will you guys tell us the Chimera story?
They both look at each other, and they smile. They look at you, Brixton. They say, well, what would you like to know?
Look at him, her. I mean, all stories, right?
What would you like to know? Clearly, you know she's not human, yes?
Yeah.
She knows.
Yeah.
The Chimera. Your friend, the Chimera. I don't know how much of her story we should tell. She looks over at the serpent. Well, she does go way out of her way to be, secretive. I don't know, maybe we shouldn't say anything.
Yeah, but maybe that's why you should.
Ask her about someone. She looks over at the serpent named Relisma.
Relisma.
When you ask her that name, I'm sure she'll tell you as much of the tale as she wishes to herself. I think that's fair. That way they can begin the conversation. Yeah, I think that's fair.
I just kind of bow.
Mm-hmm. She nods back. Brixton, you should know one thing. The serpent...
Just one?
Just one. She looks over at the serpent, looks over at up at the ceiling. The serpent and the Chimera don't train just anyone.
I know, I was on the list. And I give them a wink.
She laughs a bit. No. Who are you named by? Who sponsored you for training here?
Captain Daytondres.
She looks a little bit surprised. She looks over at Serpent. I know. No, she's alive. Oh, that's interesting.
When did she die?
I thought she drowned in the Woolly Bay. She says, just after we left Ravenloft. Or they left Ravenloft, I should say.
Was she your thief?
She was more than just a thief. She kind of laughs a bit. Captain Daytondres is one of the most elegant, most skilled sword fighters you're likely to meet. Does she still use that stupid parasol, though?
She so does.
She laughs a bit. Yes, she hides a sword in her
At least she likes to pretend that people don't know what's in it.
She laughs a bit. That
And she
sounds like
twirls it around like it's a real parasol, and we're like, okay.
That's our captain, all right. She laughs a bit. The captain is a very, very slippery, resourceful woman.
She's wonderful.
She's very wonderful. You just have to wonder sometimes what her interests truly are.
That's part of
I often
it.
wonder that too. I kind of was wondering about these guys when I first met them, but they seem to be on the up and up. So
We made her an ass ton of cash.
I'm basically taking all this in. I'm just watching the whole thing.
That seems to explain it then. You see, even though the captain is unpredictable, she's a woman of her word. You know, there's a lot of navies out there that consider her a corsair, and just as many that consider her a pirate.
Oh, yeah.
She says she has letters of marque in just about as many nations as she has prices on her head.
I think those are like notches in her parasol. She's very proud of it.
Yes. Speaking of notches on her parasol, who's her current boyfriend? Some guy named Rainmar. Oh, I see. She goes through men.
Wait, what?
Oh, you didn't know?
No!
She looks over at the serpent. Oh, sorry, I thought everybody knew. Yeah, she
Oh.
kind of mentioned it to me that she was with a guy named Rainmar right now.
Oh.
Well, I put my thumb at JP and said, well, he hasn't met Rainmar yet.
Only heard stories. Big and hairy.
Well, not only big and hairy, he says, but I guess he's the troublemaker in all this.
I look over at Brixton.
Supposedly.
Yeah, he says, well, yeah, supposedly. Well, I just need you to be ready in case he is what we think he might be. In any case, you and me and Soraya have some training to do. Brixton, I think you have some questions to ask. John Paul will be with you with that beer later. I got some stories to tell you, too.
I can't wait.
Brixton, you go upstairs after the whole conversation. The Chimera's up there waiting for you. When she gets up there, you see her as she is a young girl, a gnome, probably about maybe 75 years old. She's wearing a gown completely made of monarch butterfly wings. And then she's kind of in the air, she's holding up her hair, and there's planets and stars whirling around her hand, and amidst them the storm of hummingbirds.
That's fire.
She looks over at you and smiles. And amazingly enough, as you're watching her, now that you've learned so much about her, she looks over at you and starts speaking, and she still maintains the illusion. It's like, now that you understand technique a little bit more, you're like,
Yeah.
it's almost unbelievable that she can do this. Oh, you think so? She says, thank you very much. She says, I like the particular colors. You have questions to ask me. I can see it on your face. She says, and she's whirling around the storm a bit.
I feel like you can hear more in this tower than you let up.
Everything. She says, Brixton, as I taught you before, information is everything.
I know.
Because if you know everything, then you can have reality suit to your whim, and you know what your whim is. Without it, you can't really shape what you want it to be. Please ask me a question.
Who is Relisma?
My sister, she says, and stops. And she turns to you, and when she does, she is a halfling girl. Kind of nondescript. Looks like she's wearing thieves' clothes. She says, our father was a man from the north who created an island, much like the one on which I stand. This is a place called Chorus. You see, my father, I should say, wanted a place in which adventurers could go to retire. People that had made enemies by the thousands. They could go and they could disappear. But my father was a mage, powerful mage. He'd never had children, you see. And so one day he enchanted a magic mirror. And through it, my sister and I walked. Before we were creatures of reflection, creatures of opposition. My father was a mirror master of Lynn, she says, stroking the side of a mirror that has just appeared out of nowhere. When she looks at it, you're there on the other side of it, your reflection, not hers. My father was a mirror master of Lynn, and he used the ultimate spell, she says. He used a spell to make a reflection real, and looked over at you. Not an illusion, real. I'm nothing but a ghost, a whisper, an echo, an image. Something that can be muted and changed as I wish. Smiles a little bit.
I can change my shape to anything I wish, my appearance. That's why I don't stay in any one position. I was once just a reflection in a mirror. My sister Relisma still lives in Chorus, these cold, wintry lands. I don't even know if she knows that I exist, she chuckles a bit. She should, though, she says. After all, everything has a reflection. Even her. Even me.
Are you her reflection?
She nods. I am. One day we'll meet again. One day. She kind of touches it, and she when she touches the mirror, she hits the middle of it, and spider webs start to crackle all around it. She says everything is connected, you see. All fates, all destinies are connected. And sometimes she pulls a piece of the glass out. It's not really what you're looking at. And when she pulls it out, all the glass falls out of it, and the cracks are all that's left. These silvery cracks on this black background. It's what's in between is what you're looking for. The spaces. The empty echoes. She looks at you, Brixton. This is the essence of illusion. The ability to find those spaces in between. Shadows. Where there's light. There's been a great, great disturbance in shadow. I felt it last night. Your friend has returned. It's almost time for you to leave us.
I reckon it would be.
She nods. Just as you are now different than you were when he last saw you, so too he is far, far different. Greater, more, and yet nothing. He was at once slain and at once reborn by shadow. Do not take him as a stranger, but much like me, take him as an echo of what he once was. Perhaps that's why fate connected the two of us. We are, he and I, very similar after a fashion. Shadows of something else. Meanwhile, going back to Arion and John Paul.
Yes.
John Paul, you're walking outside of the tower, sitting outside of it, just kind of looking at the stars are starting to come out. It's getting to be night, and sitting out there is Marius, her manservant, with Soraya's manservant, along with Tor. They're just kind of sitting there talking back and forth. The door opens and you see them. Ah, my brother, it's good to see you. So you've learned another lesson, I see. I can see it on your face.
Did I learn it? Which one?
He looks over at Marius. He says, only you can tell me, I guess. Now, there's something I want to teach you. Come with me.
Okay.
Leads you over to the beach. He says, and there's a bunch of weapons that are arranged on the beach. He says, this spear, longbow, hand axe, dagger, short sword, and then taps two-handed sword. Which of them would you want to learn today?
I'll grab the two-hander.
He laughs a bit. He says, you are our father's son, after all.
Go big or go home.
We're going to talk while I teach you of the two-handed sword about our father. I'm going to teach you a bit about his history, about your legacy. He nods. You see, you are the son of Korg, the god of strength. the slayer of dragons, poured throughout the years, who was worshipped long ago in the place from where I came, the Soul Empire. We spoke of this the other day, but one thing we did not speak of is what he is now. We talked about what he was then, but not what he is now.
He's not the same thing?
Oh, no. You see, much like our friend the Chimera, the gods change. Gods get their power from their worshippers. But as time goes on, the gods, their faces, their demeanors, they change with their followers. For example, let's say that there is a god who is worshipped by a nation of peace. He's a god of knowledge. He may appear as a slight man, maybe old, wise, carry a staff. But if that nation is embroiled in war, over time, as that war changes people, they will become more bitter. They'll become angrier. Their knowledge will be geared towards weaponry, not peaceful pursuits. And so, you will start to notice carvings in their cities, in which perhaps his staff will become a spear. You will notice that he is not drawn as a placid man anymore. Perhaps his features will become angrier. They will become darker. Eventually, he may be wearing armor. You see, just as the gods change man, so does man change the gods. Well, he looks over at out into the distance. When our folk came from the Sul Empire, they settled here in the north. When they came, the god of strength, Cord, was not important in the Sul Empire.
Can I interrupt him?
Yeah.
And I want to reach forward and grab his arm in an arm lock.
Okay.
And then I basically want to pull him close so he's about 6 inches from my face.
Okay.
And I just want to study his face.
But
I'm going to do it in a violent way.
You do that. Make me a 20, please.
7.
You grab him and you pull him close, and he's right there in your face and looks at you.
And I've just got a completely serious look on my face. I'm just studying his features. I am simple. I am a simple man. I have simple needs and simple pleasures. And I live life, and I love.
He nods.
You have changed, brother. Should I call you father instead?
He smirks slightly. If it is your wish, then yes.
I nod, and I let him go. And I say, you may continue your story, but I believe I get the lesson. What do you need? How can I bring you back to what you were, or do you not want to be?
He pauses and says, in the old days, I was not important. The Sul Empire was a place of magic and learning. Only the dregs of society cared for me. The gladiators who would kill one another for sport and the amusement of the emperor.
And it's dark.
Soldiers that would kill our enemies and would fight in the name of our folk, that valued strength. But even as the mighty sorcerer Solorotin took us across the mountains, even though it was a man of magic that did this, I became more important. You see, our folk found ourselves in a new world. It was terrifying for them. They were attacked by strange creatures, animals, monsters. Every step of the way, they would find tribes of men And just as they wish to cut for themselves a place in the world, they would need to do so with strength, you see. I became more and more important. And now, he looks over at to the north. The folk of the north worship me, almost as the chief of the gods. They have forgotten Lendor. They have forgotten Vijas. They have forgotten all but me and Lurg and Vatun. He says, this is the way that things should be. This is the way that Lendor, our father, my father, your grandfather, has set things in motion to be. I do not wish it to change. But I know what is coming. I know that in coming days strength will be needed. Might will be needed. He looks out into the ocean.
But can I say one thing,
Of course,
Father? I give him a hug. And I lift him up and just shake him and then drop him. And I say, strength comes from here. It does not have to just come from weapons and here. It comes from the strength of our heart, of our convictions, of who we are and what we do with our entire lives. You do not have to be just what they make you. I will make you more. And I will honor you. And so will others. They will see that the strength is all things, not just blood.
He looks over at you, kind of fixes you with a steely eye for a moment, puts his hand on your shoulder, and he says, thanks, RZ Tajana, we appreciate it. You have learned everything I have to teach you. And he turns around, and he starts to walk away. The weapons are yours to keep, he says. Looking at them, you will find them of great quality.
Your story first, and perhaps one last beer.
He stops. One last story? Very well, let me tell you one.
I brought a keg and a half, and you do not want me to drink it myself.
Let me tell you one last story then.
Please.
My son, Jean-Paul Kortson. Let me tell you this. A very, very long time ago, the first folk walked the world. I was just an idea at that time. A notion that would be yet to come. These were the elves, you see. And they played and they frolicked under the sun. Their gods made the skies beautiful for them every day. He made the forests in which they lived lush and green. It was a good world then. And as I lay sleeping, I dreamed that I would never be needed. But something happened. The chief of their gods was named Corellin, you see. And he had a bride. His bride was as beautiful as the night sky. Wondrous. Smart, powerful in magic. But she wanted more. She saw the way that the elves looked upon her husband. She grew jealous. She could give them everything that they wanted. Beautiful magic, power. And yet, they always came to her husband with glory. They slept during her wonderful night. They did not care for her. They rebuked her. And so, When the second people walked the world, she whispered into the ear of their gods honeyed words, and set the chief of their gods upon her husband. This would be Grommash, god of the orcs, and they had a titanic clash, the two of them. It almost killed them, you see. But Corellin lived, Grommash lived, and so did the bride. The bride, she took half of the elvish race, and she walked away from the battlefield. This is how they came to be the light and the dark elves. The dark elves went with this bride, Loth, into the depths of the world where they would continue to be. The light elves stayed on the surface. But this is not the whole story. This is only what is commonly known. I saw what happened that day. That day when Loth took half of the elves and set them against Corellin's children, there was a group of these elves that did not fight. They took neither side. Instead, they watched. They waited to see who would emerge victorious. These elves, when the fight was over, the gods looked down upon them with derision, and they looked at the god of the sea, their own sea god, and said, "We'll take these ones and drown them deep, that we would never set our eyes upon them again." This is how the elves of the sea came to be. The ones that would not fight. They went and they established a great island for themselves in the middle of the sea. It looks out to the coast. There they began to summon creatures. See, they were still powerful in magic. Servants, beings from other lands. And they befriended them. But these elves, there's always been a spark of treachery in their hearts. They who committed the first betrayal, he says, betrayed these ones too. The gods looked upon them and cursed them again, angry that they did not learn their lessons, you see. And so they sunk their great island in the middle of the ocean. Thereafter they were to be forgotten forever. He looks out into the water, looks at you. He says, "This is a tale not known by many, but it will be very, very important to you someday." You see, from that conflict, man would grow later, and when man would grow, he would understand that strength was important. He would understand that there needed to be two gods of the sea, one to placate man, and one to ensure that that which was drowned would never come back. This is my sister, Osprey, and my brother, Zerbo. Zerbo is known as a god of the sea, of the angry sea, of primal waves, but mankind does not understand his true purpose. Now you do.
How do I make you proud? Father, how do I give back to you what you have given to me?
He looks at you and says, my name. You bear my name. He says, and one day you will wake up and I will still be different than I am now. Man will change. Man will adapt. My face will be a stranger to you. Yet you will live, for the time has no meaning to you anymore. Just as Landor is my father, so too is his blessing upon us and my children. Time means nothing to you. You will no longer be touched by it. As I change, you will be there to remind them of who I really am.
I will.
Things that you have said, the oaths that you have spoken to me here on the beach, remember these things and teach them of who I once was. For
Always.
you, among all, seem to understand it best.
Always. I cannot be anything but.
Now, he says, before I leave, he taps you on the shoulder, we have a keg to drink together.
Yes. Green. Green keg.
And as the night goes on and you sit around the fire, tales of the Sul Empire, the dead Sul Empire, flow just as much as the beer does. Tales of glory, tales of feats of strength, tales of great battles fought. Never before have you really understood what your legacy was. But as he speaks, the majesty and the greatness to which one day you have to aspire is revealed before you. But yet it doesn't seem to humble you, or it doesn't seem to be something to shirk from. Instead, it fills you with this sense of pride, and this knowledge of this motivation of what yet lies ahead of you, and the greatness to which you will rise one day in his footsteps. Arion.
Yes.
Meanwhile, downstairs, Soraya took you from the presence of the serpent. Started walking with you outside.
Well, what time of day is this?
It's probably about maybe 10 o'clock.
Okay, so she got here at sundown.
Yes.
Okay.
As you would expect her to.
That's what I was wondering, because
As you would
I wasn't
expect her
sure.
That's why when I introduced all this, I said it was about dusk. She comes outside with you, and she says, I'm going to teach you the old ways. The proper ways.
Old ways are the best.
She says, nods. She says, Strahd changed me greatly, as you can imagine. But one thing he could never take from me was this. She looks around at the sky. The sky and the rain, the stars, the grass, the woods. He made me apart from it, but in the funniest sort of way, now I can appreciate it more. Now I can study it, she says, in ways that I never could before. Bit of objective perspective.
What race is she?
Human.
Okay.
Human.
And you can actually study it longer than what you normally would have been able to, thus being able to dig into it further.
Oh yes, she says and nods. Come with me, and let me show you the old ways.
As we're walking, I also ask her, it's like, just as a curiosity,
Mhm.
how, if you deem to share, how do you actually, are you able to be the goddess or a cleric priestess of Valona with that your inherent condition?
To be frank, I do not know. I've never asked because I'm afraid of the answer. I'm afraid that perhaps Alona one day might realize she made an error. I'm afraid that one day she might take the only thing I have left from me. All I know is what I prefer to think, and that is that she has gazed down upon me and understands that I have never, ever once, even for what I have become, turned my back upon her.
Maybe that's the reason why.
And so she never turned her back upon me. Perhaps she holds my curse enough at bay. Because, though your friends know half of it, they don't know the whole of it. I no longer drink blood. I'm something between a vampire and a human. Not quite one, not quite the other.
In that, when she says that, do I know the process behind?
I think it's well enough known
Okay, I just curious.
Yeah,
so.
I think you know the legends of it.
Well, the reason I'm asking, and this is outside the game, this is like meta or my movies. Every movie you see and every book you read is all different.
Right.
So I'm just,
Yeah.
like 3 bites, 1 bite, type of thing.
Sure.
So I'm assuming that you're going with the 3 bite standard.
I am going with a 3-bite standard, and in fact, she's going to teach you about nature and unnature.
Okay.
Which is, she is going to give you the whole rundown on what it means to be undead, and what it means to be how to deal with the undead.
Yeah, I was going to say, which also helps the actual turning and
exactly. And that's the very first thing that you guys are going to go through is the process of turning and the process of dealing with the undead. Now, Ariane, I'm going to give your character a choice. If you wish, with one of your proficiency slots that's coming up, and you don't have to tell me until the beginning of the next game for what you're going to learn from her.
Non-weapon proficiency or weapon proficiency?
Either. You can choose either one of them to expend on this. One is a non-weapon, one is a weapon proficiency. You may use if you wish, you can expend one of your weapon proficiencies to gain the ability to do damage to undead as giant class creatures. In your particular case, that would mean that you would get a significant damage bonus on them. Or you could expend a non-weapon proficiency, and in doing so, you may gain a bonus on your rolls. Use adding your level to your dice roll to turn undead. Your choice.
Okay.
And you don't have to tell me now. You can tell me later.
Right. Well, I'm just curious as far as the weapon proficiency part of it. As I was thinking about doing a double in the longsword, would that be if I took that, would that also be the double proficiency or no? Or is that something?
What that would be is if you are going to, as you gain a level right now, you're going to gain a proficiency because of the level you're cresting to.
Right.
Okay? You can choose neither if you want to. You can choose to go double and learn strictly a weapon, sword weapon from the serpent. This is another option that's available to you right now based on the training from someone who is actually undead.
Okay. I'll think about that and let
so
you know.
You have some choices available to you. Another thing, when she goes ahead and she teaches you, she is going to tell you this. Your current teacher the serpent has taught you to hunt, but Alona is the goddess of the hunt. And as such, I am going to teach you some of the rites by which she blesses hunters. You can add to your list of spells the spell Stalk from Greyhawk Adventures, which is a base Alona, a worshiper of Alona spell.
Oh, okay. That's from the sheets that you had printed out earlier, correct?
That is correct.
I think.
I believe it's on there. Furthermore, you can gain the you're going to be able to access the specialty Alona abilities from that list by undergoing her training.
I'll have to look and find out all that again.
Correct.
I don't know
So
where
your character is. This is where we go delve into a little bit of crunchy stuff with your character. Okay.
Okay.
You've got a couple choices as far as how you want to progress your character. Much as I'm giving John Paul an ability just now with two-handed sword. That was his weapon proficiency choice.
Okay.
And Brixton is learning some other stuff with his spells. You're also learning. You're going to have some choices here to make on how you want to develop your character. Okay.
Right.
So going forward, we're going to know that. One other question, Ariane. What magic items did you take from the list? What were yours?
Which magic items?
Yeah, what were on the list of magic items? What ones did you lay claim?
Oh shoot! We were just. Hold on a sec. I was thinking. I still got to try to decipher through this. We were discussing it outside of that, but
if you don't know right off the top of your head, you don't need to tell me. I just want to have that information at hand.
Basically, I was thinking of that. The canteen for holy water, for one. The silver dagger, which really isn't much, but that's that serrated edge, repairable, whatever. The steel backpack, whatever one,
right?
And I think there's a couple. I wanted like those. We haven't figured out exactly what they are, but those little letters and the wax sealed envelopes and some of that stuff. The other thing I was thinking of doing was that messenger bag of gold dragon scale to use like a haversack, but I'm keeping it inside the steel backpack.
Got it.
So if that way, it's not shown to.
Right. Yeah, and fortunately, that other one isn't extra dimensional, so it's not going to create a problem for you.
Right.
Okay.
And
I think that's what I had figured. I really wasn't much else we can really
Go ahead,
use.
Brixton. What'd you have?
You wanted the stone arrowhead of.
Yes, that's right. The stone arrowhead too.
Okay. You go out into the woods with into that small copse of woods with with Soraya.
You
and
lucky
teach you
bastard.
some of the rites of Alona. And over the next couple of weeks, you are going to be learning those with her. But at the end of the day, by the end of the day, it's almost midnight. The fires on the beach have begun to die down. John Paul, it takes you a lot of ale to get drunk. You're starting to get there. The last thing you saw was Cord bid you farewell, slap you on the shoulder, gave you a hug, and he told you that you would meet again. He turned around and started to walk across the water out into the distance.
Oof.
Brixton or Ariane, you're coming back inside with her, with Soraya, and Soraya tells you, why don't you get John Paul? There's something that we must do before we sleep tonight.
Okay. Before I do that, I want to, she doesn't have any idea what some of these items are, correct, that we've gotten? Or don't I know? Or does she have?
Yeah, she hasn't seen them, so.
I point out, it's like, you are proficient in longsword, yes?
I am.
I think this, and I'm just pointing it out, some of the items that we have gotten, and I think you might be interested in one particular piece.
And that is?
It is a longsword of some odd metal, like a metal, but it would be harmful to the living because and I'm thinking since you are undead, if that is the case, this may not affect you, and I think this thing would be worthwhile for you to take a look at.
I would be pleased to do so. Thank you.
And the other thing, it would also help us to get this out of our possession, so we don't.
She says yes. Sometimes giving an item of power away is much. It's just as valuable as keeping it. Besides, she says, if this particular weapon is something I'm interested in, then we can dispense with any other notion of recompense for your training.
All right, I can't speak for the rest of them, but I would say that they would be just on the off chance. I don't think that they would have an issue with it.
Very well.
But I'd give my okay for that if that was the case.
Please do me this boon and gather Jean Paul and meet me at the tower. There's one last thing that we must do.
All right.
She goes to you. Go ahead and get John Paul. John Paul's got like 3 or 4 empty beer kegs there on the beach. Brixton, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna just confirm that Tor is gone and I don't have a chance to talk to him.
Tor is gone.
Okay.
As I go to, I'm practicing some of these skills that I've got to try to just pull a joke on him and sneak up behind him.
Roll me a 20, John Paul.
4.
Okay. Ariane, you were able to sneak up behind him to some degree.
Grab my wineskin that I've got and I pour it into his mug.
Okay. John Paul, you're sitting there looking out at the waves and water, thinking about everything you've learned, thinking about the swords, thinking about what lays beyond you. And as you're sitting there, you're thinking to yourself, you wish you had more beer. And you look in your mug and there's wine in there. It's almost like the gods heard you.
I'll just take a sip absentmindedly where I'm thinking about my dad, and then I'm like, and then I stare at it and I look around and I think,
as soon as you turn around,
it tastes like elf piss.
You turn around and Ariane is there. He's way closer than you expected.
You crazy elf thing. How are you doing? I needed to tap one of these extra kegs here. And I was thinking that I would pass out face first in the beach sand if I did not have a friend to share it with. So I'm going to try and put my arm around him and just give him like a hug and hand him a mug, but probably too strong.
Ariane, he's strong as hell and he's loaded.
How tall is he again?
Oh, about 7 foot.
Your arm reaches and goes right over the top of my head then, probably.
You are such a fast little fucker.
I have been told to come and get you because Soraya wants to talk to you.
I am not in good shape.
Well,
I am not doing well to
I wink
smooth with the lady.
I look at him and wink at him and say, she has a nice shape.
I know.
It might not be.
As soon as she popped up out of her box, I was like,
she may not want you to dally, so I'll help you to get up to her.
Oh, okay.
I'll try.
You will be my elvish wingman. appreciate that so much. You are the best.
You're so right. You're so right, man.
I am so sorry you lost your wombat in the arena.
Your wombat.
I am so sorry. I keep meaning to tell you, and I keep forgetting because of other things. I'm so sorry. Will you get another wombat? I think you need one.
I haven't figured out exactly what this. Maybe I have. I don't know. Have I been studying down in the library to figure out?
Yeah,
what
but that egg is still nowhere to. It's hard to tell. And really, the serpent's been teaching you a lot of other stuff, so it's been hard.
Right.
So you guys go back to the tower.
Okay, I will sober up on the way. You take me to her.
And there's Soraya standing there at the Soraya standing there at the door. The door is already open. The butler is standing there. He sees the two of you. Soraya comes walking.
And before they start their conversations, I ask her as well, how much do you know of various types of fauna?
You're about to find out.
Well,
she looks over at looks over at the butler and she says, "Please fetch Brixton."
The reason I'm asking is because I have a conundrum here, and I think you might be interested.
He needs a new wombat.
A wombat? She looks over at you.
My companion of a few years died in an arena match. It was a large wolverine.
I'm sorry to hear that. That's very tragic. Brixton, you're upstairs at the. You just concluded your training, and the butler comes in and he looks at you. Master Brixton, please. You've been summoned downstairs by Lady Soraya. The Chimera looks over at you and she says, "You have my bidding to leave. We're done for you."
So what's the butler? What I wanted. I tell Soraya, it's like I'd like you to take a look at what I can't remember how to pronounce it. Detar dress or whatever. I think so she gave me. She says. A replacement for who I lost, but I don't know exactly what it is yet. I want you to take. She nods
and she chuckles. She says, "That's exactly what we're going to go downstairs and see."
Oh, okay.
Listen, you come downstairs and you hear that part of the conversation right there. Is that you're going to go downstairs and see exactly what it is? Brixton, you guys go downstairs. You're following the whole group downstairs, and Soraya says, "I wanted you all to be here for this because I think it's very important that you have an opportunity to see this." Yeah.
Do we walk by the pool at all? Sorry.
No, you won't be walking by the pool.
Okay.
And you see, when I walked into the library at first with a bunch of you, I saw that egg over there, and I realized it's very close to hatching.
Before you even go any further, don't look at your message I'm PMing you yet. But after, if she tells me, I want you to take a look at it, and I just want to.
Okay. The two of you guys walk over there to the downstairs into the library, and there's that box with the open top of it. There's all kinds of friggin' straw filling it, and there's that big egg that's sitting in there. And she looks at it, and she says, she kind of walks over to it and looks in. She says, "I want you, Ariane, to go to it and just run your hand over the surface of it."
I do so.
You feel the egg. It feels kind of warm. The outside of it feels very thin.
Okay.
She says, "Everyone else here take 2 steps backwards." She takes 2 steps backwards. It needs to see Ariane first.
I get as close to being behind her as I possibly can without touching her.
She's
and I'm just standing there like.
She looks kind of up behind her and smiles sweetly and looks back towards Ariane. She says,
"You gotta love that charm gaze."
I just protecting.
Oh, you're doing an excellent job. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank
I've been drinking.
I know. She says. Arion,
Yep.
she says, tap the egg gently until you see a crack.
Okay. In other words, I'm with my nail trying to almost like a egg tooth type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You start
I
to
do
tap it on the top. Tap. Tap.
Is it breakfast already?
Make me a percentage die.
12.
After the third tap, you feel something tapping back from the inside out at you.
I use Morse code.
Tapping, 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 and all of a sudden it cracks. And when it cracks, it's not because of your finger, it's from within. Kind of
Right.
something hooks out at you. And you look down, and it's this bright kind of yellow-orangish hook that comes out. And it starts to you see it, the whole egg starting to roll back and forth and starts to writhe. Something's pecking out of it, out of it, out of it. And it cracks the surface finally. And what you see is this dark, brown, flat face covered in this
Okay,
amniotic
before you stop that, look at your messenger.
covered in amniotic fluid. It looks out at you, and it makes this sound, this chirping noise that is this deep basso kind of sound. And as it comes out, it looks like fur. No, it's not. It's feathers. As it comes, its head comes out, it looks you in the eye with these deep brown eyes. It just stares at you in the face.
That says don't pollute.
And it looks at you, and it kind of pecks your hand a couple times gently, and it opens its mouth and makes this roaring chirp noise.
I reach down into my pouch or whatever, grab whatever little bit of jerky treats that I had left over, and feed it.
As you're starting to feed this thing, it's voraciously tearing this meat up. It's starting to eat it. Brixton and John Paul, you're looking at it, and neither you've seen them in books or in carvings or tales of them before. Looking down at them, you've heard of owl bears before, but you've never seen one that's so tiny before.
Oh, it's so cute! I just want to hold it and pet it.
And Soraya just grins, and she looks over at Aria and she goes, "Well, congratulations. You're a father."
Again.
And that is where we're going to end for the evening, guys.
Is it bigger than me?
No. Not yet.
Not at this time.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But it'll be bigger than John Paul.
But it will
a week or
be one day. Everybody out there that's watched us on Twitch, thanks so much for tuning in.
Okay, now
Hold on. Before I go any further, we really appreciate it. Gaetano, thanks for joining us so much. I really appreciate it. Mean Keb, thanks for sticking with us for so long. I appreciate it. Irish Dad, I'm so glad that you're getting back into the game.
Yeah,
Like
no
I
doubt.
said, it's so awesome. This game changed my life. I love it so much, and I'm so glad that you're actually being able to engage and interact with it again. And for all the rest of our usual viewers out there who are watching, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for the cheer too. I appreciate it.
Let me add to Irish Dad there. It's like you're looking at a guy here who hadn't gamed since the 80s up until about 4 years ago, all first edition. So.
And yeah, I just looked at the PM too. Yep, you called it. It was an hour. Everybody, you've seen the players now level up. This is the training experience that they had. When we begin again,
will do the departure from the island and their next moves and things like that. So I really appreciate that. Characters, you have some of you have some decisions to make, Arion. The rest of you guys
Right.
will get updated character sheets.
One other thing, what I would, before maybe at the beginning, I'd like to do that possible augury or whatever.
Yeah, we'll talk about augury.
Do that next time or whatever.
We'll do that next time for augury. And Zudrak, thanks so much, Mike. It's awesome that you can join us too. For all my players, David Aho, Matthew Lazinski, Magnus Miller Wilson. I'm Carlos A. Slicing your DM for the First Betrayal campaign, which
So
has
much fun,
actually
you're the
gained a
best.
little bit new information on what the First Betrayal might be. So, those of you out there who watch us, thanks again, and have a good evening.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for watching, everyone.